Hello and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. Previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday, and interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm of course your host, that guy, James J., alongside the leader of Squash Squad, Hikuleo Yachts, who is not here, but maybe he will be later. Who knows? Maybe he was never really here to begin with. But who is here? The American Scooter Dust.
Yes, and so fast he could spit in the wind, duck, and let it hit the man behind him.
And it was a good week for Wrestling With, as we interviewed Brian Leo on Tuesday and Rain Victoria on Wednesday. Two incredible interviews, two interesting interviews from two very different parts of the world. Cannot recommend them enough. Go into the archives and check them out. This upcoming Monday, that's right, it's the last Monday of the month. Is it? No. No, it isn't. No. I'm getting my interviewees confused. This upcoming Tuesday, we have Ozzy Miller, from Sweden. Love our Scandinavian interviews. This one does not disappoint as well. He's held a championship that Sami Zayn has held. His original name was Minced Meat, and he had a long and storied rivalry with Marcus of Man. So listen to everything about that in that interview. And then this upcoming Wednesday, we have Nina, originally from the Philippines, now moved to America. She's in California, my neck of the woods. We talk about moving to California, advantages of disadvantages of her significant other being a wrestler, some high-profile matches against Nina Samuels and Yappy, and losing at Mario Kart to TJ Perkins. But don't take my word for it. Here's some clips now.
No, actually, again, my girlfriend was sick of my hair. She didn't like my long hair like at all. We spoke about it because I actually once grew a mustache, and she said, I actually accept your mustache more considering you had long hair because I don't want the long hair to come back. And I was like, wow, okay. But no, yeah, my girlfriend, she really hated the long hair. Even my coworkers were like, dude, when are you gonna shave your head? So actually, it was me that pitched the idea for a hair match to the promoter, and I said, I think we gotta do a hair match to get rid of my hair. And I actually pulled a swerve on my girlfriend and my coworkers because they were coming to the show. Because Marcus has a history with hair matches. Every hair match that he's been in, he's lost. So with this hair match, I told my girlfriend and I told my coworkers that Marcus is a veteran. He's been in the game for like 20 years, and he wants to cut his hair. So I'm gonna win this match, and he's gonna cut his hair. But then we're gonna have a rematch, and then Marcus is gonna cut my hair. So they were like, "Oh, cool! You're gonna win. That's nice." But I didn't tell them that I was actually gonna lose.
You took an L to TJ Perkins, not in the ring, but at Mario Kart.
I did. You know what? I can't even remember if I won or not, or probably it was a tie. I think it was a tie. I'm pretty good at Mario Kart, but yeah, it was around that time that they all flew to the Philippines for our show, and afterwards we had a really big like party, like a little celebration amongst us wrestlers. And TJP was there, and another friend brought his Nintendo Switch, and we were like, all right, like let's play Mario Kart because that's what introverts do at parties. We play Mario Kart.
Alright. And then on on the 24th we have Ozzy Blaze. On the 25th, our 300 interview, we have Brian Anderson. On the 26th, we have Evan Golden. On July 2nd, we have Congo Kong. On the 3rd, we have Clara Carter. On the 9th, we have As Silva. And on the 10th, we have Solomon Stride. So, things are pretty hot for wrestling right now. Alright, I think we're done putting ourselves over, correct, Scooter?
I'd say so.
Well, it was also a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the news. And one of the bigger news pieces this week was that last week, last Saturday to be specific, Joanne Grace wrestled Roxy or Roxanne or whatever the fuck you want to call her at NXT Battlegrounds. It was a losing effort to the one with the Rocks. But it is somewhat significant. This is like one of the first times in WWE history that they're working with an outside promotion in TNA. That, you know, they're not paying to be alive and poke fun at WCW. Your thoughts, Scooter?
The I love the. First of all, I love the match. The match is great. Jordan Grace doing her second Mick Foley impression. There was no way Jordan Grace was going to walk out with that title, but it was still interesting to see the fact that they tried to add. Everyone thinks that Vic Joseph immediately got Dana Brooke wrong and switched to by Elliott. No, he did that on purpose. Not that it matters, but I guess I mean, can we say it? Can we talk about how TNA got reciprocated?
I mean, let's talk about. Let's stick with NXT right now, and then we'll transition to that one.
Okay.
It does. What? How should I say this? It just seems like TNA. You know, I've always said this. They're the little buddy of pro wrestling. Whoever wants to work with them, they will work with them. I even had the impression at one point that we could get a WWE wrestler versus a New Japan wrestler versus an AEW wrestler under a TNA banner at one point. Doesn't seem like out of the realm of possibilities at this point, but I digress.
But we are getting more Pro Wrestling Noah.
And to that I say, Noah cares. And you mentioned it. Dana Brooke made her triumphant return to NXT. Said nobody. People may have just been confused. You know, obviously Dana Brooks had 3 other faces since then. But really, really, like out of everybody you could have got from TNA, you decided to go with Dana Brooks, literally the person you fired that went there because you didn't want her. Seems kind of counterproductive, if you ask me. No.
Yep. Very, very counterproductive.
Well, on the opposite end of that spectrum, yesterday, Friday, was Against All Odds, and Joanne Grace had her open challenge. Who was
First of all, you're saying Joanne on purpose, right?
that is her name.
Jordan.
Joanne. Yeah.
Okay. Tatum. Tatum Paxel. Tatum Paxley, who was part of she was in love with a title, but it turns out apparently it was the TNA Knockouts Championship, and Jordan Grace had an open challenge. It was Tatum Paxley, and clearly Jordan Grace won.
Clearly?
Clearly, yes, clearly. She clearly won, because I can see to the present.
It's a gift.
Wins with the Juggernaut driver. So if anybody was uncertain about a whole this relationship between WWE and TNA,
it's not going away.
It's going away, and it's only going to get bigger as on this upcoming Tuesday, Cody Rhodes had announced on the last episode of NXT there will be a 25-man battle royal to determine the number one contender to the NXT Championship held by Trick Williams. And TNA talent are expected to be a part of it.
Do you feel like TNA is maybe not getting the best of deals out of this? I mean, NXT got Jordan Grace, obviously, their Knockouts champion. When you think about, the Knockouts from 2015 and onward, you think her. And TNA got Tatum Paxley, which is, if we're being honest, a very under talent when it comes to NXT. So are they just happy to get what they get and have a little bit of buzz of saying, hey, we had somebody from WWE? Or are they maybe thinking, hey, could we have gotten, somebody of noteworthy? Notoriety?
I mean, considering how everything, where WWE is going to be, it's I think you kind of have to start small with if you're the WWE and you send over some of the lesser known talent first.
I get how WWE views the relationship. Obviously, TNA is going to be somewhat of a developmental for the developmental. Well, if they're not,
It,
if they're lacking a little bit, send them down to TNA, have a couple matches, and maybe get a new fresh coat of paint on them.
I've heard the term I've heard used is more not developmental, but feeder, a feeder promotion. In that TNA is going to function as still continues to function as a separate entity. And if you're wondering if this is going to lead to WWE flat out buying TNA, the answer is no, that will not happen, because there's no point in them. But buying them is it defeats the point of what this is accomplishing, and that's showing that the WWE really is in a new place without Vince McMahon at the helm.
I think if they would buy TNA, it would simply be for the video library.
I mean, considering that there's now TNA Plus.
There's been TNA Plus for quite some time.
Yeah, but now it's the full. They've broken it off into 3 tiers, and only one tier has free pay-per-views. Anthem has had
Blue Cross Blue Shield
has had offers to buy TNA, and they turned him down.
I mean, again, it doesn't necessarily. It does nothing for WWE to buy them. It's the same, and it's in the same breath of Ohio. Why would WWE buy Ohio Valley Wrestling? They had, what they needed out of them. It's counterproductive. There's no value in having another wrestling company just to be your developmental. They have a developmental. But it is just real world experience pro wrestling. So you could have a Tatum Paxley who, maybe not the best wrestler in the world right now, get some matches under her belt, maybe gain some experience, and maybe something will click where, when she comes back to NXT, she could be a bigger star.
Yeah. It's the possibility.
Do you, like you mentioned, there's going to be this major this battle royal that will on NXT to determine Trick's new opponent. Do you see a TNA wrestler actually winning that?
I see them as a runner-up, not necessarily winning.
Okay. Kind of feel like if it's Josh Alexander, then yeah, it's gonna be Josh Alexander.
I mean, well, Josh Alexander came back to wrestling last night at Against All Odds after teaming up with Eric Young.
That's an odd tag team right there, considering him and Eric had such a blood rivalry. TNA logic.
And this is the same show where Matt Hardy speared his wife through a table.
Recently?
And it literally didn't just happen 5 seconds ago at all. It happened last night.
I mean, was there a reason that he speared her?
The main event is Moose and Matt Hardy for the title in a Broken Rules match. She was out there to stop Alicia Edwards, and Moose pulled her in the way of Matt Hardy trying to spear Moose.
Okay.
Moose spears Matt Hardy, and such. Moose retains. The possibility of, because now there's Moose and, Drew McIntyre going back and forth on Twitter, X.
Never gonna happen. unless Moose signs a contract, we're not seeing him on him versus Drew McIntyre. Yeah.
Well, maybe Drew Galloway though.
That guy never drew money.
He couldn't draw a picture.
I heard it was all about Drew. He had a Drew house with a Drew window. Drew was the color that he lies and wears.
Oh my God. Excuse me. I'm gonna vomit. And
keeping on.
I don't think I don't think Joe Hendry is going to appear in Scotland.
Because he
showed up last night, he showed up last night and totally not 5 seconds ago.
Why do you keep saying that it was not 5 seconds ago? I mean, it's okay. You could say that you're watching TNA.
Yeah, all right, fine. I'm watching, and of course, and Jeff Hardy is back.
Well, that was a part of the news as well. Jeff Hardy. It was just rumored that he was coming back to TNA. Obviously, it is, fact now. Is this the best thing that Jeff Hardy could be doing with his time going to TNA? Isn't that kind of like a step back?
He got pigtails.
I mean, he's had pigtails since he's been like 17.
No, braided pigtails. Some might call them blowjob handles.
Will you stop it?
And the Brother Nero and that's interesting. That's what you have the Hardys and you have the Nemeth brothers.
A match we never knew, we never wanted to see.
No, they're all they're all on the same side. And it's like they've never. And Joe Hendry. Which means, oh God, what the hell is TNA's War Games crap?
Lethal Lockdown.
Lethal Lockdown. Yep, that's what we're seeing. The Hardys, the Nemeth, and against the system, who are totally not ripping off, the Undisputed Era's theme at all.
Boom.
They totally are. No, it starts with trust the system.
Ooh. That's That's cringeworthy.
Yes. But then again, we're kind of experts in cringe, are we not?
I mean, TNA cringe. It's been a thing.
Very true.
Um, I don't know how I feel about Jeff Hardy coming back to TNA. I don't necessarily know how I feel about Jeff Hardy just wrestling in general, if I'm being honest. Obviously I love Jeff Hardy, but I also respect what he's done and don't necessarily want him to become another Ric Flair, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as, I will say that maybe TNA is safer than AEW because that place is a death trap. But, as long as he's safe and healthy, and I'd be fine with it. But if, things are looking down, maybe just sign a Legends contract with WWE, get your Hall of Fame ring, and call it a day. Thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, not many thoughts.
Alright, well, maybe you have a thought on this. Keeping up with NXT, Cody Rhodes made an appearance, and he he announced the Battle Royal and did a backstage segment with a one Sean Spears, an Ethan Page, and a Lexus King. Stating to the three gentlemen, yous are doing good here. No, you're in the place you're supposed to be. Honestly, just something on the lines of a wink and a nod that fuck AEW, if I'm being honest. So, yeah, even NXT is kind of leaning into AEW LOL.
They are indeed.
Well, that being said, Ricochet. I feel like we've been talking way too much about Ricochet as of late. He interceded in um an aftermatch brawl between Braun Breaker and Ilya Dragunov. And then Braun Breaker took him to the outside and proceeded to smash him onto real fucking glass. And CM Punk flipped his lid. It was a runner call, damn it.
Oh.
You're hurting the boys.
We can now say it's official. Yes, AEW will finally sign Samantha Irving, and Ricochet will remain as a ring announcer.
It's just, and I've said this about a billion times at this point. Samantha Irving got more over as a ring announcer in maybe the last year than it took Ricochet 7 years actually wrestling.
Fair enough.
And I'm obviously, we reported last week Ricochet is leaving WWE. This could have been a way to write him off TV. But also, there are conflicting reports saying that nothing is set in stone as of right now, and there is still a possibility that he might resign. If they play this right, could they actually make people give a shit about Ricochet?
I feel he's going to be at a point where he's going to get if he resigns, I expect them to kind of give them the Rey Mysterio push and make it look plausible, because if Rey Mysterio can have a career like he's had, and Ricochet can do more flippy shit than Rey Mysterio can,
with 50% less charisma.
see, that's the other thing, though. Ricochet's got a
Grow a personality?
yeah. I mean, he could be, I mean, maybe he should go, maybe he should become Trevor Mann.
Trevor Mann?
That's his real name.
Oh, damn, that's worse than Ricochet.
I mean, he could be Rick O'Shea, and they could give him a leprechaun outfit.
Fuck yeah. Let's go with that. Bully Ray, of all people, he made some interesting points saying, for the next 2 to 3 weeks, have Braun Breaker bully Samantha Irving. Tell her, I did that to your fiance. I hurt him. I'm the reason he's out. And, just, being a complete ass to her. And then have Ricochet come out, beat the crap out of Braun Breaker, and actually have a match. But not, a flippy shit match, where a match where Ricochet actually draws fist, and we actually see the man rather than, the Circus du Soleil performer.
The highlight of the night.
Which is such a fucking stupid nickname. Your thoughts?
Yes, it is a stupid nickname.
No, I mean about that. They could, if they execute in that manner, that it could actually get people on the side of Ricochet.
I think if we start seeing a side of Ricochet we haven't seen before, it will get him over.
I agree. Kaliko always talks about, that second gear. About, when it's all fun and games until you cross a line and then you have to put those fists up. And if he doesn't have that second gear, then they're wasting time with him. Alright. This episode has been NXT heavy, but keeping up on NXT news, it beat AEW in the ratings. NXT had a 7 point something average, while AEW had 6 point. AEW consistently had like 6 to 8, and now they dropped to 6. I should say 7 to 8 consistently. Now they dropped to 6, and NXT is actually slowly creeping up and overcoming them in the ratings. I know ratings don't necessarily matter as much as they did, in the Attitude Era, but it's not nothing. It is showing you who's watching what when it comes to pro wrestling nowadays, as of right now, no?
Yeah. Yeah. It's I mean, what else can you possibly say?
I guess so. Well, also, I think it was this week. I can't necessarily tell you. New Japan Dominion. Um, and for maybe like the first time, and for maybe like the last 6, 7 years, I didn't actually watch it. There was nothing necessarily interesting on the card. Um, I wasn't exactly clamoring to see John Moxley wrestle Evil in a lumberjack death match. Um, we've talked about AEW struggling. Um, why is New Japan struggling right now?
I'm probably because of AEW. AEW is kind of ruining all their talent. Okada is going to waste. Gaijin has title. And they're gonna lose Hikuleo.
We'll get to that in a moment.
So it's almost as if New Japan is going through their 1995 WWE phase.
That kind of makes sense. They do have some interest. They do have talent. I will give them that. You know, Suji, Uno, um,
Tanahashi Jones.
yeah, I'm blanking on the others' names, but they do have talent, but unfortunately they're not on the level of Tanahashi, Okada, Naito. And Naito is almost ready to go into the good night in his career as well.
Yeah.
So they're losing arguably their biggest star. I don't think Tanahashi's ever going to retire. He's literally the president of the company.
And see, this is where I think the landscape of Japanese wrestling has to evolve. For so long, Japanese wrestling has been, the gold standard in terms of,
Meltzer star ratings.
in terms of what matches can be, if you give them the proper time and you develop the proper chemistry. Because, let's face it, chemistry does not really come from, build up. People might have, chemistry in terms of promo skills, but the only true time you can see actual chemistry is when they're in the ring, and that's what New Japan was doing in spades with all of its talent. Now, New Japan, their roster is dwindling. They never thought they'd be in the place they are now. and that's kind of starting to fall from grace, so to speak. And maybe it's time all the traditions of Japanese wrestling just it was put to the side and redone. Like something needs to change.
And I actually 100% agree with you. You know, New Japan had the talent. They had Kenny Omega. They had, I'll put Jay White in there. They had Jay White. They had, Juice Robinson. They had a lot of, great gaijins. Underappreciated from WWE. And then, I feel like this has always been New Japan's Achilles heel. They don't appreciate the talent that they have. To be a gaijin in Japan means that there's a glass ceiling that you're never going to hit or break. Um, Kenny was literally the closest thing to breaking that, and he got the closest. We haven't seen anybody even touch that as of now. But when you're feeling unappreciated, you go for greener pastures. And the only reason New Japan broke out as much as it did in America, roughly, maybe 10 years ago? Let's say 2015. Was because it was an import. Okada, Tana, Naito, even Kenny they were imports of the Japanese style. And I feel like now they're kind of trying to cater to an American audience and do a more American gimmick style rather than traditional no-nonsense pro wrestling. And that if you're watching a Japanese import, I think you would want to see Japanese wrestling rather than Japanese wrestling trying to be an American style, no?
Yeah. I want Japanese. I want to see Japanese wrestling in its purest form.
And nothing is more unpure pro wrestling, especially Japanese wrestling, than Jon Moxley. I feel they only put the title on him to get a little bit of buzz, a little bit of conversation about them that they've desperately needed and wanted. And even when it was, in the news that Jon Moxley won the title, it was pretty just, okay, he won this championship. Meh. It wasn't, a big deal, if I'm being honest. And I'm not sure if that is because of Jon Moxley or is that because of New Japan.
It's an interesting. It's an interesting conundrum. I mean, really, every time every time they do, do a hot shot to, someone like Moxley, it being clearly done for publicity.
Right. I feel like things have to change drastically in New Japan, and it needs to actually happen fast. Um, if I'm being completely honest, Suji, who is right under Naito in Los Ingobernables, have Suji kick Naito out of Los Ingobernables, put the belt on him, and let him have a run with it, and maybe have his one last run with Naito at the Tokyo Dome, get people talking. I would scrap Bullet Club in every shape, way, or form. That includes House of Torture and War Dogs. Just call them War Dogs and House of Torture. No need to have the Bullet Club banner at this point. It's a dead commodity. Literally nobody from the original Bullet Club is in Bullet Club. It kind of there's more of Bullet Club members in the Bloodline than there is in Bullet Club at this point. And it's honestly, it's just a matter of just reamping things, having the tradition there, but in a new way. Those are two really small things that I think would actually get people talking. But who's to say? Maybe I do kind of agree with you with they're kind of leaning way too much on AEW, and it may be ruining New Japan in the long run. I think we've said as much as we possibly could about that.
Yeah.
That being said, there is somebody currently leaving New Japan, and that is Hikuleo, the big little brother of Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa. It is highly rumored that he will be coming to WWE sooner rather than later as a new member of the Bloodline. That is a story, all of in itself. But the name that they want to give him is a story as well. They want to call him Tali Tonga.
Yeah, Tala.
It's Tali.
Something of the.
That seriously, that's the best they could do is Tali Tonga. Your thoughts on Tali Tonga?
I have no thoughts on Tali Tonga. It's a stupid name. It is a like. Okay, you got Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa. So who is he? Is he a Tonga? Is he a Loa? Just pick a name that's relatively normally Samoan sounding, and just let him be Hikuleo. What's wrong with that?
Maybe New Japan owns it. Maybe.
Possibly.
He actually had a name before Hikuleo. I don't remember what it was, but he did have a name before Hikuleo.
Oh, was it? Oh, got it. Oh, uh, oh,
There you go. Hold on. Give me- Where's Cage Match when you need it? We need
Leo Tonga. Leo Tonga.
There you go. Leo Tonga. As literally as fucking simple as it could get. It's not a bad thing to have Leo Tonga or Hikuleo or whatever the fuck you want to call him in WWE with the bloodline. It makes absolute sense. But I do wonder what happens to Fatu, Jacob Fatu.
I do not know.
I mean, I thought he would have been a good choice to be a part of Solo's bloodline, but are they waiting until Roman comes back and have Jacob be on Roman's side to fight the Tongans?
That could be a possibility. I've also heard that I've heard of the rumor that Roman might not be coming back.
I feel like he's gonna have to come back in the next maybe month or two. You have to have Roman Reigns on SummerSlam, right?
Yes.
I don't think you do. You don't pull the trigger and do Solo versus Roman immediately. You do tag team match. Maybe Roman and Jacob versus Tama and Solo.
Yep, that's again possibility. I mean, with Survivor Series coming up, I mean.
Well, I mean, if you're doing the Tongan bloodline versus the Anoa'i bloodline, then doesn't that mean they need Jay back on their side?
Who knows at this point? There's too many Samoans. The brochure said there'd only be a few Samoans. This is a terrible vacation.
Well, there is a lot of Samoans. Okay. Is there anything you'd like to go over?
I mean, other than that, I can't think of anything.
I think we covered everything. Alright. I guess that will conclude this episode. Thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, but on YouTube and Castbox. Join us next Saturday as we do a full review of Class at the Castle. And join us this Tuesday as we interview Ozzy Miller. This Wednesday as we interview Nina. And follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on X, Thread, and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Where can we find Scooter?
As always, find me on X at Scooter Dust.
For Scooter Dust and Kaliko Yachts, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.